In a dialogue written around 355 BC, a character named Critias makes a claim so specific it's either the most audacious lie in ancient philosophy or the most important sentence ever ignored. He states, "My great-grandfather, Eudoxus, had the original writing, which is still in my possession, and was carefully studied by me when I was a child." The original writing, still in my possession, studied by me. This is not a rumor about Atlantis passed down through oral tradition. This is a narrator in Plato's own text claiming first-person, present-tense custody of the physical written notes that Solon brought back from Egypt. If this is a lie, Plato wrote it knowing any Athenian aristocrat could challenge it. If this is true, the documentary evidence for Atlantis existed in Athens in the 4th century BC, and then it vanished. Welcome to Beyond the Pillars. Here, we do not chase myths, we chase data. The entire Atlantis account rests on two dialogues by Plato, the Timaeus and the Critias, totaling roughly 4,000 words. Less than a magazine article, but the transmission chain Plato describes is extraordinarily specific. Around 600 BC, the Athenian statesman Solon traveled to Egypt. This visit is not disputed by mainstream classical scholarship. Plutarch names the priest he spoke with, Crantor of Sais. At the temple of Neith, the priests opened their records and told Solon of a wealthy empire destroyed 9,000 years before his time. Solon was so struck, he began composing an epic poem about it. Plutarch records this. He never finished. Not a single line survives. Solon passed his notes to his kinsman Eudoxus to his son Critias the elder. Critias the elder, at 90 years old, recounted the story to his grandson, who eventually told it within the circle Plato recorded. Egyptian priests to Solon to drop beads, to the elder, to the younger, to Plato. 200 years, 4 hands. This level of sourcing is unusual for Plato. He names every person, he gives ages and family relationships. Critics correctly point out that Plato built attribution chains precisely because they make stories convincing. Both positions are honest. But Plato goes further. The same text describes a systematic translation process. When Solon heard the account, the Egyptian priests had already translated the original names into their own language. Solon cross-referenced the meanings and retranslated them back into Greek. Every name in Plato's text is already a third-generation translation. Original language to Egyptian to Greek via Solon. Plato did not need to include that procedural detail. He chose to, as if laying out a chain of custody for a document he expected would be questioned. Now, consider where the documents allegedly came from. The Temple of Neith at Sais, in the Nile Delta, has been excavated by a joint Durham University and Egypt Exploration Society expedition. Their findings, the surviving limestone walls and granite blocks, suggest the temple was of a comparable size to the temple complex at Karnak itself. Karnak is one of the largest religious complexes ever built. The Temple of Neith was not a provincial shrine, it was a Karnak-scale institutional archive dating to Predynastic Egypt. A dual shrine for Osiris at the site functioned as a major pilgrimage destination from 1000 BC onward, confirming institutional continuity through the exact period of Solon's visit. And the timing of that visit matters. The most historically rich dating place is Solon in Egypt during the reign of Pharaoh Amasis, the most pro-Greek pharaoh in Egyptian history. Amasis invited Greek traders to the port city of Naucratis, stationed Greek mercenaries in his army, and maintained active cultural exchange with Greek intellectuals. A visit under Amasis would have given Solon maximum access to the temple's resources. And the temple has been substantially destroyed. Stone robbing, agricultural silting, and delta flooding have obliterated most of the interior. The excavators noted that exact locations and configurations of significant temples remain unclear due to previous destruction. If records were inscribed there, they're gone. But one ancient source claims they're still there centuries after Solon. Crantor of Soli, recognized by the philosopher Proclus as the first commentator on Plato, wrote a commentary on the Timaeus around 310 BC. The commentary itself is lost. What survives is a passage in Proclus, written 800 years later, stating that Crantor treated the Atlantis account as unadored history, and that Egyptian priests attested it by pointing to still existing stelae where the events were carved. A 2024 analysis by scholar Fleischer attributes the priest consultation to Crantor himself, not Plato. If correct, roughly 50 years after Plato's death, the first scholar to systematically study the Timaeus traveled to Egypt, consulted the priests, and was shown physical evidence inscribed on pillars. Then his commentary was lost. Then the pillars were lost. Then the temple was lost. And there is a remarkable detail most people miss entirely. Proclus records that Plato's own contemporaries accused him of plagiarism. They said his republic was not original, but was copied from the institutions of the Egyptians. Crantor documents this as a live intellectual debate during or immediately after Plato's lifetime. The accusation is itself evidence. 4th century Greek intellectuals believed Plato had genuine access to Egyptian traditions. Otherwise, the charge would have had no force. Now the date. The priests told Solon that Atlantis was destroyed 9,000 years before his visit. That places the event at roughly 9,600 BC. As we established in our Younger Dryas episode, this aligns precisely with Meltwater Pulse 1b and the most catastrophic climate event in 12,000 years. But at 9,600 BC, no organized cities existed in Greece or Egypt. No naval warfare was possible, writing did not exist. If the number is literal, the story cannot be historical. Unless the number is not years. Multiple ancient sources confirm that Egyptian priestly time reckoning used lunar months as their unit. Eudoxus of Cnidus, a contemporary of Plato, wrote directly, "The Egyptians reckon a month as a year." Diodorus Siculus, Manetho, Herodotus, and Plutarch all documented the same practice. 9,000 lunar months divided by 12.36 lunar cycles per year equals approximately 728 years before Solon. That places the event at roughly 1290 BC. The Late Bronze Age, the era of the Sea Peoples invasions, the Bronze Age collapse, the destruction of Troy, Ramses III's naval battles against a maritime confederation documented on the walls of Medinet Habu, a period when an aggressive sea power attacked Egypt and was defeated. The mythological timeline collapses into documented history. There is one more layer. In 2023, scholar Johann Ellefsen proposed that a surviving Egyptian document, the Astarte Papyrus from approximately 1400 BC, may represent a textual ancestor of the Atlantis tradition. It preserves a Canaanite myth about a sea power threatening to flood creation. If correct, the story Solon heard at Sais is not a native Egyptian record, but an Egyptian translation of an older Syro-Canaanite sea battle myth that had traveled through 5 languages across 3,000 years before a philosopher in Athens wrote it down. And Plato built safeguards into his own text. The story is 9,000 years old beyond any living record. The Egyptian originals were already translations. Solon's poem was never finished. Atlantis sank without a trace. Athens itself was repeatedly destroyed by floods, wiping the memory of its own past. The narrator, Critias, admits he nearly forgot the story the previous day, and the dialogue itself is unfinished. It breaks off mid-sentence at the moment Zeus convenes the gods to deliver judgment. Every verification path is sealed. Whether this reflects Plato's genuine humility about the fragility of ancient knowledge, or a philosopher's precaution against disproof, is the question that defines the entire debate. The document Plato says existed has never been found. The temple's been destroyed to its foundations. The pillars Crantor was shown have vanished. The commentary he wrote about them was lost. But the words survived, 4,000 of them, enough to make the story impossible to dismiss, and not quite enough to make it certain. In the opening of this video, we read a line from a text written 24 centuries ago. Critias claims to hold in his hands the original notes from Solon's visit to Egypt. That document, if it ever existed, was the single thread connecting Greek philosophy to Egyptian priestly records to a civilization that may have predated both. The thread is gone, the question remains. Here at Beyond the Pillars, our mission is to move beyond speculation. Our ultimate goal is to fund AtlantisX, buying a research boat to search the world for the true remains of Atlantis. Building this community is the first step. If you want to be part of this mission, subscribe to the channel and help us build the resources to find the truth. We are just getting started.